In years 7 to 9 for English, we have an amazing range of topics that are covered. We start with National Poetry Day, and this year's theme, very excitingly, is vision. And the girls are given this opportunity to look at different poets, different poems, different writing styles, and then they create, particularly in 7 and 8, their own poem, which we then celebrate at our annual event, National Poetry Day, and we have a winner that's selected from 8 and 9, and we have an event either in this year, it will be in the tennis court because of COVID, but we have this amazing event and we celebrate all things poetry. The English department are involved. We have Mrs. Wright who's involved, and she writes her own poetry every year, and this is a phenomenal, I think, example to the girls because they get to see the beauty of poetry. We also have Mr. Humphreys, who's our librarian, and he's involved. So I think the message we try and get across to our girls is that English and poetry writing, it's not just limited to what we do in our lessons, we take it outside of the classroom. With Year 9, we offer girls exposure to what we call the Victorian Gothic, and I think this is a really exciting theme for them because they get to delve into the unknown. They get exposure to texts that they've never studied before, and it's quite a nice sort of taster of what they would study at A level as well. And I think this is a wonderful opportunity for girls to have exposure to sort of themes that deal with humanity and the subconscious, things like Jekyll and Hyde, for example. Those are one of the texts that we study. We look at subjects that are taboo, like the monkey's paw and the supernatural. So it's not just limited to, I think, sort of some of the preconceptions we have of boring old English. The next thing we have as well is we do Shakespeare with Year 7, 8 and 9. In Year 7, the girls study A Midsummer Night's Dream. In Year 8, they do Much Ado About Nothing. And in Year 9, The Merchant of Venice. And the reason we do such diverse plays is so that the girls have exposure to different genres, but also different themes. And again, it's the importance of Shakespeare, who wrote in the 1600s, and bringing those themes to life again and looking at how pertinent these themes are and these questions that he poses about humanity. And I think as an English teacher, that's one of our favorite topics to teach. I think the next thing we do with English in Year 7, 8 and 9, and this is one of the real sort of highlights of our year, is the public speaking competition. And this is an amazing opportunity for all students to develop their public speaking skills, their confidence as public speakers. We look at a range of non-fiction texts, and in those then sort of guide the girls as to how they can write a speech and deliver that speech about a topic they're passionate about. And the key and sort of guidance we give our girls is just find that which you're passionate about, and we'll teach you the skills to develop on those topics confidently. After that, we look at a range of novels, and one of our frequently asked questions is, can the girls read these novels ahead of time? We actually say, no, it's left it as a little bit of a surprise because it's at the teacher's discretion which novel they choose. They find the novel that works best for that particular class. So your daughter might not study the same novel as one of their other Year 7 sort of peers, but it will be what works best for them. And I think that's a real strength of our English department here, is we have teachers that identify what are the strengths of that particular class and they play to those strengths. And they sort of deal with a range of topics again, which is fantastic. One of our other exciting topics that we do, particularly in Year 9, is war poetry, and that links us quite nicely to the GCSE course, where we look at poetry and we teach girls how to approach an unseen poem as well as a different studied poem and look at sort of key themes again. We then do a war novels project, and this is one of my favorite projects, I think, because the girls are given, and they're sort of individually selected for the particular students, a war novel that we feel will interest them and that they'll get the most out of it. So they're all different, and I think sometimes that can seem a little bit intimidating, but it's a really good thing because it teaches the girls how to read independently, how to research independently, and develop those close analysis skills which they need at GCSE. So the Year 9 course particularly is set up very nicely to feed into the GCSE, and it's yes, about celebrating the love of English and developing that passion, but equally making sure they're set up well to start their GCSEs come Year 10. Some of our other frequently asked questions are sort of, where do I find reading lists? How do I get my daughter to continue reading? One of the brilliant things, and it's sort of a beauty of the course, is we have the time at the start of every Key Stage 3 lesson to spend 10 minutes reading. The teachers will read, the pupils will read. And if they're struggling to find a book, then Mr. Humphreys is our amazing librarian. They can come and see him and they can look at the different reading lists that we have available on the learning space. And this is just a wonderful way to get girls enthusiastic about reading, and we discuss books. English here at Surbiton is about the love of English, the love of reading, and nurturing that. And if it's something you struggle with, then we'll help you develop that passion, develop that enthusiasm. Another frequently asked question we have here at Surbiton is, are our years 7 to 9 classes set in English? No, they are not. The reason we don't do that is they're taught in forms in year 7. In year 8 and 9, we do mix them up a little and then mixed by form again, but not by ability. So please don't worry about this. In year 10, that's where we start looking at setting. The other slight difference between lessons in year 7 and year 8 and 9 is our year 7 lessons, you'll have 3 lessons a week, and then you have 1 dedicated to language skills. This is where we help hone those literacy skills in terms of the technical ability of the girls and making sure they're comfortable with how language itself works, so that when they face their text and their literature lessons, which are 2 hours a week, that they feel comfortable in doing so. And I think that's a really lovely way for the girls to feel more confident with the language side of things and the technical skills, because when they get to GCSE, they have an entire GCSE in language. And so that's why we do this in year 7. In year 8 and 9, they're slightly more integrated. In terms of, we work very closely with learning enrichment as well. So if your daughter does require additional support, that's not something we want you to worry about, because we have the ability to support her in the way we need to. And our learning enrichment department are fantastic and work very closely with us as English teachers, making sure your daughter receives the support she needs to. I was asked what is so special about English at SHS, and not only is it the range of topics that we cover, but it's our staff, because we have a very passionate, very enthusiastic, very varied group of people who love this subject above all other subjects. And I think that filters down to the girls really nicely, and that sort of passion is what excites them when they come into a lesson, and it's what gets them engaged with the different topics. And I think we're very, very fortunate to have that range. The other exciting thing that we have to offer with English at Surbiton is that we have a range of ways you can get involved. So it's not just English in the classroom. We have Literature Society that's run by Miss Huntley. We have Mr. Humphreys, who's our librarian. He runs a reading challenge. We've got Mr. Bird. He runs a writing laureates program. So if you're into creative writing, that's the program to get involved with. We've also got fantastic opportunities to go to the theatre. We've got trips to Hampton Court Palace, and we look at how history and English are sort of interlinked and the connections between those, because part of understanding English is understanding why those authors wrote what they wrote, the context that influenced them. And yeah, I think it's just, we've got debating as well, and just a range of exciting opportunities for our girls to get involved with. So I think that's what makes us pretty special here.